What is up? My name is Matthew Makak from Room 51, and this is Teach the Teach on the Dice Tower, where I teach you how to teach a board game. And in this video, I'll be covering Race for the Galaxy. Now, there are plenty of ways to teach games. This is just a way that has worked for me and could possibly help you out if you have any problems teaching games in general or this game in particular. Now, I am assuming you already know how to play this game. This is just a how to teach video. So let's get into it. I always start off with the three main things. So first, telling the story behind the game of where you are building your galactic civilization by settling on planets and developing technology and social advancements. And then I go into the objective of the game, where pretty much you're trying to get the most points by the end of the game. And then how the game ends, where there are two different ways of finishing up this game. Either all of these point chips are gone, or somebody has placed down their 12th card in their tableau. Now, I like to start off with just the cards that they have in their hand, right? So they'll all get their cards of like the actions and everything that they'll have. And I'll just say these cards are for telling everybody what kind of actions we're going to take this round. And then I let them know that everybody's going to have these different kinds of cards, and I have separate ones set out, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But that these are the cards that you'll be placing into your tableau that will give you special effects and all that sort of jazz. Then I point their attention to the reference sheet. Now this, I believe, is 2nd edition. Yes, this is the revised 2nd edition. So I don't know about the 1st edition, if it came with this awesome reference sheet or not, but this is for 2nd edition. So I let them know that this might look a lot scarier than it really is, okay? This actually has a lot of information, and it is super easy to understand once you understand how to read it. And that's mostly how I wind up teaching this game, is explaining how to actually read this reference sheet. So let's drop down to the table and I'll show you what I do to teach this game. So the first thing I point their attention to are these cards here and list it out. And I go through each one, how this is like a development card, and then this is a world card. And you go through how like you would play these cards, where you discard the cards from your hand to play these. And then you start to say how these two worlds, right, these are military worlds. And so that these have a special kind of cost. You need a certain amount of military defense. And I have these cards here laid out in front, so that they could first see what the cards will actually look like when they're in their hand, but so you can also point to something over here where it shows right here, +1 defense, military defense. This is what allows you to play worlds like these, and it has to match these, right? So you explain that to them. And then you go into how this is like a windfall world and the production world, and how those work in terms of the production value and what that looks like, right? And what goods are. And how they could essentially give you extra cards or certain points, things like that. And you could let them know that like there's pointers too here, right, to remind you what they are, what the cost of them are, and so on and so forth for each one, right? How everything is pointed to each of these things. And you also want to explain that these little numbers on the cards show how much points they'll be worth at the end of the game when they're in your tableau. From there, I start to explain these action cards to them. And I let them know that there's 5 different actions that you can take. Some of them have 2 different options. And you want to explain to them that everybody will benefit from whatever action you've placed, but you'll get some sort of certain bonus if you're the one who placed it for that round. And so you just go through each one, a little bit into what they actually do. And from there, that's when you want to start to explain how this bottom section of the reference sheet works. How a lot of these cards, so the cards that you had set aside, you could start showing them back again and letting them know that some of them, they show certain things. So for example, you could show this card here, and it says that there's this like little symbol here for stage 5. And so you could look under the produce stage 5 action list, right? Look for the same symbol that is here, and it tells you exactly what it does, right? It produces this yellow good on top of the card. And that's essentially how you want to explain this game, how each symbol explains what they do right here on the reference sheet and in what phase they will go off. And the cards themselves, I'm sorry, I picked up the wrong cards. The cards themselves will also tell you what stage it happens during, okay? And that's essentially the whole game, so I will meet you back at my face. So that was how to teach Race for the Galaxy. Now, I know I focus mostly on this front side of the reference sheet, but it also has a back side. And you can let players know that they could use this as well to better understand each of the phases and what each of the phases actually mean in the game. Just in case. I usually wind up just using this part because the phases become pretty secondary, and I think the cards themselves, they tell you exactly what they do. So you don't really usually wind up using this, but that's just for the players if they want to. But as long as they understand how to read this reference sheet, they'll be able to get the game. You'll probably want to explain to them that the first game will be a little bit like of you trying to figure out like, okay, how do I play this card? And you're going to be referencing this rule sheet a lot. And that you're gonna kind of fumble forward in this game a little bit. But after you get it, after a couple of games or so, you're gonna start to get it and you'll be able to play it fairly quickly. And I would say, usually I like to get games playing quickly as possible, right? With as little rules as possible. I think this reference sheet helps immensely with that. I don't think you can really start playing the game without explaining all of the rules first, but you don't have to go into all of the nitty-gritty details because this reference sheet has so much of that. And if they do have any sort of questions, they could just ask you. It's their first game. Doesn't really matter who wins, right? Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any sort of ways that you like to teach this game, please let me know down in the comments below. Or if you have any sort of questions, please let me know. I will catch you next time.